Hey viewers, welcome to another game of Casual Pro Gamer. Today we're doing a game between Solus Rex as the Protoss in the bottom left corner. He is playing on random, by the way, so it's pretty impressive if he can win versus this other guy, who is Corion. Corion as the Zerg in the top right. And that means, yeah, with this one being random, it means that he's going to have a little bit of an advantage because his opponent doesn't know which race he is. So he doesn't know what to build, but in the beginning it doesn't really matter, and he's going to have to scout anyway. The Zerg player, of course, doesn't really scout. He's going to send his overlord over, and that's going to take a long time. So yeah, the scout will actually reveal which race he is. So the pylon goes down, which means that we are going to get a fast expand here. The only thing is he going to fast expand before or after he builds those buildings? So probably just a fort or just a gateway. But yeah, for now he is just scouting around, and he will see that there's nothing going on, and there will, yeah, be a base coming up because, well, the spawning pool would have been up already, or it would go up, well, right now. But yeah, he sees that, so he does see that that is not the case. He misses that. Oh, he misses the opportunity to actually harass there a little bit, and well, that is that's a little bit sucky. Yeah, sure. But anyway, the drone is just being annoying here. It's just it's set to attack the Nexus now, so we will see that in a moment. In the meantime, this probe is just being annoying as well, and he's sending it back now. Huh, I don't know. He does see that the spawning pool is up. I don't know if he actually scouted that. Let's see. Yeah, he did scout that. You can see he actually did see it. So the other player only saw the Nexus here, not really seeing what else is going on. But there is nothing going on. So finally we do have the gateway coming up, the new pylon coming up, which means that he's going to build the forge and cybernetics core over here. And then going to leave a little bit of a gap in the middle to let his army out, but also to just make it easier to defend. Obviously the easiest to defend would look like well, if you completely wall it off, but it is in fact not the easiest to defend, because then only ranged units can defend, and if you leave a little bit of a gap here, which there is now, you can actually run zealots out, for example, and still keep all of the other units safe. So the cybernetics core and the forge indeed coming up, and we do have the assimilator coming up. On the other side of the map we do have an extractor coming up as well. And the extractor is of course going to be used for Zergling speed most likely. And well, we do have a third base already coming up. Only wishing the opponent to have fun, not wishing him good luck. Which kind of makes sense, because you don't want your opponent to have luck. You want your opponent to completely fail, but still have fun failing. But yeah, that is the case. Anyhow, we do have just a build-up of units here. And of course the Zerg player doesn't really need to build any offensive units yet. He should build queens, which he is doing. Only one queen coming up? Really? Oh man, where's this lag coming from all of a sudden? Oh, it's already over. Okay, whatever. So the queens are coming up, and the queens should be able to provide him with a little bit more of the larvae, of course. And with more larvae he can make a bigger army. The photon cannon is coming up on this side. And all in all, yeah, it's pretty standard play for both players. The scout is coming up, but there is a zealot here to greet it. And the zealot should be able to just hold it off. Oh, yeah, the cannon is going to come up. That's a shame. He ran through that like nobody's business. He forgot to put the zealot on hold position. Which means that the zealot will attack if it sees an enemy unit, and that's of course not what you want. You want it to be in that gap and just stop all units from rushing through that. Yeah, the cannon came out just in time, making sure that that was not a problem at all. So anyhow, yeah, workers still being produced on both sides, and we do have 11 workers here, 17 workers here, and 2 workers over here. Whereas here we have 7 and 16. So 16 is a nice number, but 7 is way too low. He needs to produce more of those. He is producing more of those. And he did run into a little bit of a snag, I think, with the supply, because otherwise he wouldn't have stacked up this many units. Obviously, stacking up units is really bad behavior, because if you stack up units like that, like here he had 4 units earlier, that's 200 minerals. And since you have 2 bases, and he had 3 here as well, that's another 150. So that's 350 minerals. That's almost a nexus that you just stacked up and are not going to use. Obviously, in the super early game that doesn't matter, but in this in this part of the game it does matter. It means that you can either build your building or your upgrade, or you have to wait until something else is, or well, until you have the money, even though you already have the money, but it's just invested in something that is not going to pay off for you. So anyway, it seems that we have 5 gateways coming up, and that is quite a lot. So 5 additional gateways, 6 gates total, and some pylons, and that means that, well, we are going to see some epic warp-ins here in a moment. The Zerglings in the meantime, just grouping up, making sure that they are here. They're not going to be able to break this front though, but he is going to attempt to do something here. Missile attacks. Okay, he's going for roaches, it seems. And with the roaches, well, once they are available, he should be able to assault this. Wow, this yeah, entire group was produced, was upgraded, but it's not going to do anything here. As you can see, all it did was just lose one of them, and really nothing else. He couldn't get through it. He didn't even attack anything, and because this is one line, you can't really surround the building. This building is a little bit further forward than the other two, but still it's very hard to surround that and, well, get the kill on that building, which is exactly why we would do that, why we built that base like that. So anyhow, we have a pylon here, and that means that he can actually warp in over there, but instead he's going to warp in his base. Has all kinds of sentries going on, a few zealots, and then some immortals, but immortals are really bad against Zerglings because of that shield. That shield is good against units that do a lot of damage but don't attack too fast, and Zerglings are exactly the opposite. They do very little damage, but they attack very fast. So yeah, that kind of is the way it is with the immortals. They can go up against every unit in principle, but they are so much better against armored units that do a lot of damage. They do 2.5 times their damage to armored units, so they're really made for that. And these roaches are therefore going to be toast, as long as he doesn't have well, anything to defeat these immortals. These roaches are going to get nuked down, and obviously the queen as well. So we do have plenty of these force fields going down, and he is going to attempt to take out the hatchery, not really having any problems with that. And oh, the Zergling's going to attack the immortal now, but yeah, good attention and really no problem. So the roaches came in to save the rest of the base, even though the rest of the base is all these spine crawlers, so they should be doing fine anyway. He is kind of, well, at a problematic spot here. He does have some yeah, some static defense, but that's about it. That's about all he has. And with only static defense, it's kind of hard to, well, to do anything against your opponent, because static defense by definition cannot move. And that means if it cannot move, then you're not going to be able to get aggressive with it. You're not going to be able to defend by attacking, you can only defend with it. Yeah, well, certain circumstances left to their own, but there are circumstances where you can actually pull off aggression with spine crawlers, or well, static defense in general. But in a normal game, that would never happen. So the static defenses are just there to defend this base, and if he builds too many static defenses here, the Protoss player is just going to go to another one, loses another one of those mothership cores. The mothership core, of course, is not very cheap, but he lost them to this spore crawlers. The spore crawler already took out the first one, and I don't know where it went. Maybe the first one went down, I don't know. But anyhow, we have the full attack on this base. The base gets cancelled and everything else in the base just gets taken out. No problem at all. So these are just some overlords. We have some roaches over here. That's about all he has. So the Protoss army, even though it's not very big and not very well constructed, it is doing pretty well. So he is going up against these roaches, and if he can defeat these roaches, then this is pretty much the end of the game. Look at this. The zealots, which are completely expendable units, they are in the front, they are taking the damage. And as long as they are taking damage, that means that the rest of the units are safe. And with the rest of the units safe, he should be able to, well, to just do a whole lot of damage. And yeah, you can see here how important those zealots are. He actually gets quite a lot of damage done just because he had those zealots in the front. And even though they are expendable units and they cannot really do a whole lot, it is still very useful to have them. So the Immortals, yeah, they stayed in a little bit too long, and they are going to pay for that. And they're just going to die. Anyhow, that means that, well, the entire Protoss army just went down. And the Zerg, well, he still had a little bit of an army. But the Protoss already has his new army going. He has, of course, those warp gates, which means that he can warp in 6 units at the same time. And that's exactly what he does here. Well, 5. And we do have Colossi now. So instead of doing the standard thing where he just picks one of the 2 units, he's actually mixing it up a little bit, reacting to his opponent, because his opponent was building Zerglings, but now he's building mainly roaches. And of course the Colossi are very good against the Zerglings, but not against the roaches. And for the Immortals, it's exactly the opposite. They're very good against roaches, but not against Immortals. So all in all, it is kind of a choice which one you go, and obviously that choice should depend on what your opponent is doing. So this army is just walking around. It's not a big army. It's definitely not a big army. And it can definitely get sniped, but it is a very expensive army. It is, however, comprised of a lot of zealots. So, yeah, maybe they can make something out of this. Something out of nothing. So it does seem that we have another base coming up here for the Protoss player. And the Protoss player is going to be fine economy-wise, because for now he has 2 bases versus 2 bases. Then the Zerg player is building a 3rd base, but he's also building a 3rd base. So income-wise, he should be ahead, as in, well, if they have equal income, the non-Zerg player is ahead. And that's just the way it works, because Zerglings and, well, most of the Zerg units are kind of suicidal units. They go in, they try to do some damage and get some kind of advantage out of that. And if it doesn't work, yeah, not a whole lot is lost. You can still build new ones in your base, of course, because they are so cheap. Anyhow, yeah, there's not a whole lot to tell here for now, because we're just building up. And finally we have an army coming in, but the army is split in 2. First a few zealots, Zerglings come in, and the rest of the army comes in, but it is not a problem. Lots of roaches here. And we'll have to see if he can actually, so if the Protoss player can actually snipe this army at some point. Because this is a big army. And the Protoss army is not nearly that big. It does seem that he wants to go for these Void Rays. Void Rays, of course, they're a real noob killer unit. There are several of those, but a real noob killer unit in Starcraft. It really allows you to do a whole lot of damage, and if people don't react properly, you're going to punish them so hard for it. And well, that's what we have here. That is what we want to have here, and we will have to see if that actually works out. So it seems that the Roja army is trying to surround them, or at least come in from behind, and he is going to notice that the Stalkers, sorry, that's not your name, Colossi are not going to be very good against these roaches, but the Stalkers are going to be pretty good. However, the Mutalisks are of course the ones that are extremely good against this. But look at those Void Rays. The Void Rays with the fuser, well, air targeting ground units. Those were the ones that actually did the work. The entire Zerg army dies. And yeah, he's going to lose this base now. And since this is his only mining base at this moment, I think. Well, this one is still mining. No. So he still has one mining base, although it's not the optimal mining. I think he misses one of the patches there. But yeah, even though that is not the case, he still is getting at least some minerals. And the Protoss army in the meantime falling back to here. And yeah, well, we're just going to wait until the army gets resupplied, and then he's going to go back in for the next kill. So the Zerg player throwing in some units. I don't know why. He knew that army was still there. Maybe he just wanted to check how big it was. Yeah, Zerglings are of course not hidden, so it's kind of obvious if you want to try to run them in to do something. In the meantime, all of these drones just get taken out. He was trying to run them out, but instead of running them to safety, he actually ran them into the enemy fire. So as you can see, we do have a base going down, and we do have these extractors going down, and all in all, yeah, that is just good enough. So no mining over here, no mining over here, no mining over here. That is GG indeed. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next time. GG.